Rare Books USA online sales monthly report, October 2025. To christen it off, as always, art sells antique and vintage books, 333 English ordinal. And book reseller equals 137 in English ordinal as well, the 33rd prime. Rare Books USA's eBay, Etsy, and whatnot stores are subsidiaries of Data Productions Media. Earnings report style monthly updates each month, and we track sales, expenses, and future business advancements. The initial 2025 forward guidance was $25,000 in revenue. I have updated that to $30,000 in revenue, and I won't be updating it moving forward, even though I will be surpassing that most likely. And we'll get into what that looks like here in a bit. So Rare Books USA monthly report, October 2025. I have my eBay, my Etsy, and my whatnot revenue from this past month. And I have to say, first of all, this month wasn't just a normal grinded out month. I had a lot of things, different things going on. I had a vacation with some friends at the very start of October. So that threw a wrench into things a little bit to get things going. I don't regret that, obviously. I love traveling. I love working hard to be able to play hard as well. But also, what I talked about, got a new car. As soon as I got back from my vacation, I got a new car. And as you see right here, I have a Ford Bronco Sport, Ford Bronco Sport Big Bend. It got that eruption green. I like calling it the eagle green right there. It's nice. Be styling now. It's great for books. A little bit more power. You know, winter's coming. I need a safer car. I need to be able, I can get on the road and stuff, because what I was driving before wasn't as safe. It was on its last legs. So I'm happy to have that, but that also took time away from just, you know, working on the business. But we still came out with a record-breaking month, right? At half speed, right? And so we hit with all different platforms, eBay, Etsy, and whatnot. I finally hit over $4,000 in revenue. That was an initial goal of mine, to hit 4,000. Because I got the 3,000, and then okay, now I get the 4. So I was trending in between, 3,500 for the longest time. But now, as I'm getting the Etsy store up, now that I'm getting the whatnot situated and my eBay is super consistent, I finally reached $4,000. So congratulations to Rare Books USA, to myself, and everybody that's following. We're going to keep growing as we go. But so how do we get to that $4,000? And I might add, this is October 30th, early in the morning. I still have a full day ahead of me for today, and I have the 31st tomorrow, which is Halloween. So the numbers could look even more juicier. So in October on eBay, I have active listings of 4,644. I did not get to the 5,000. I tried, but you know, when you sell a lot of items, I sold 112 items this month, right? It's tough, especially when you're busy. So my total sales on eBay was $3,687.95 up until this point. Brought home net sales 24,000, 112 items sold. Then on Etsy for October, I had 9 items sold, and I had a revenue of $264, right? And so Etsy is still building up, I have 476 active listings right now, 6 reviews, 5-star rating, star seller. I'm not doing a whole lot of advertisement on Etsy right now. I do get a little bit of advertising money each month with my membership. But, you know, I'm just trying to get to potentially 1,000 listens before I really get into the advertising portion of revenue. So this is all just organic essentially right now. And then whatnot, I made $50 in the month of October for whatnot. I had a couple shows. I was hoping for a little bit more money from whatnot, but it's okay. I'm taking the long-term approach with whatnot. Now I'm just going to go live every Tuesday. You know, have a couple shows maybe on every Tuesday, just see if I can sell anything, you know, instead of trying to do it multiple times a week and taking away from my other businesses that are driving a lot of cash and value. I'm just going to be consistent with Whatnot once a week, build the trust with people. And then once I get that following up, then I can adjust how I move moving forward. And so with eBay, Etsy, Whatnot, October 2025 sales, $4,002. And then when we're looking at what I've done on eBay since January, since all of 2025, 27.5, so $27,500 in sales, 904 items sold, 18.7 in net sales. And then going over to Etsy, again, Etsy, I've only started selling in late April, May. So I've had 28 orders thus far, $751 in revenue. So I should probably hit $1,000 in revenue, which, that makes a difference to the yearly total by the end of the year. And then Whatnot, I've had a couple shows, $236.97. That's what I've made revenue wise. Well, so these are earnings. So my revenue is a little bit more, but their metrics don't really piece it out like that. So this is all earnings. So I've actually earned $263.97. So that's straight in the bank. And so linear forward guidance, right? Which is not as much as compounding, right? Linear is just like, okay, you take your total, you divide it by whatever, and then you're divided by your period, and what's each segment period over time. So my linear forward guidance, with my sales at $28,562.68, that's where I'm at right now. Over the 10 months of the year, that comes out to $2,856.36, right? On each month basis, right? And how we started the year, I was just under 2,000. January, February, I went full time, and then that's when things started to ramp up even more. So even on a linear basis, at $2,856, you times that by 12. If I do that consistently, that's $34,276.41. So depending on how November and December goes, which hopefully I'm doing well over 2,800, hopefully I'm doing 4,000, maybe a 5,000 in December. And that gets me over to the $35,000 mark, right? And so the new goal is 5,000 eBay listings and 500 Etsy listings by Black Friday. I think I can get that. I'm super close. I'm very close with Etsy. I don't think that's going to be a worry at all. eBay, I do have postcards that can bolster up those numbers a little bit better. So yeah, I think I can get there by the end of the month. All right, so let's look at the Redbrooks USA 2025 financials. The balance sheet, that's not changing a whole lot. Obviously, those assets are pretty stable outside of the cash, but fixed assets, computer equipment and such, that's pretty fixed. The income statement. So right now, we're still under 1,000 on net income. Our net income right now is a negative $773.09. And again, that's with me that's with me categorizing all books under general expenses, right? Technically a book, when you buy a book for sale, it's an asset, right? So it's technically not an expense, but for easy reporting purposes and for me to really make sure I know where my money is going, I just put it under expense and I can always adjust it later. So at the end of the year, I'll take how many books I've actually sold, and I'll, times that by, $1.50, $2 with the cost per book, right? $2.50, whatever. And then that'll get me the true expense of what I paid for the year. And then when I get that true expense, I could just divide that by essentially the general expense, which is the asset, and then I'll get what my asset total is. And so net income potentially be positive, right? It could potentially be positive just based on different accounting philosophies. But just for on a day-to-day basis, the goal is to get the net income positive, regardless of how you categorize assets and expenses with books. So that's the goal. A thing to watch out for is I'm gonna have a car payment coming in. That's that's gonna be for something every month. So that's gonna weigh down on the net income. So that means for me to counteract that, I have to continue to grow the store, continue to grow my revenue, keep listing books just to have that counteracting. But the positive right now, which is nice to see as I'm going into this new age of my business, is I use Xero as my my accounting software, and they have a nice cash flow chart and cash flow service we can look. And so my cash runway, they say my cash flow is sustainable. It says number of days until you reach zero balance if cash is received and spent as projected. So as things are going right now, which is great, my cash flow is sustainable. Everything about my business is sustainable, right? I'm not going to run out of money if I keep making money how I'm doing. Now, the cash buffer, the number of days until you reach zero balance if no cash is received, is 4 months. So if I stop working, I only have 4 months of cash reserve until it's up. So that's where I'm at. So that's a twofold where I want to continue to build up the cash buffer, and I have to continue to keep growing my business so it stays sustainable, right? And so that's why tracking your numbers is so important, because if you don't know these type of things, you can be running at a loss for so long, and you've made no money. And I don't want to run my business like that. And so that's awesome. Still lots of work to be done. I want a $5,000 revenue month, and hopefully I get that soon. But Rare Books USA, I mean, they're doing good. It's Q4 now. At November, December, it's buying season. So I'm excited to see how things go, and we'll see in the next month.